Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Jack, back in to bring you some quick tips and tricks for getting your Mythic Keystone Conqueror achievement. Now, we're pretty deep into Nighthold and everything like that, so we're getting a lot better gear and a lot higher quality gear, but it also means that this is probably going to be the best time that we're going to have in order to get the Keystone Conqueror achievement if you don't have it already. So what I mean by this is 7.2 is going to be scaling up all of the Mythic dungeons. So while the difficulty of a 13, 14, 15 might be at a certain level what it is right now, it's just going to get even harder after 7.2. So now is going to be the best time to get your Conqueror achievement for probably a long time. Then it might go down to people still spamming 7s and 9s. But if you're in a situation right now with your group or your guildies and stuff like that, if they see 15 pop up, it's not going to be that bad at all to run. So definitely keep that in mind, especially because if you're in North America, this is a Sanguine Overflow week, which is really, really nice. So, there's very, very good reasons to be able to get a Mythic Plus in this week. And even if you're in EU and there's Raging Necrotic, while it can be kind of a pain, I think Necrotic's gotten a little bit easier to deal with now that Necrotic stacks are always going to drop out of combat. I think Holy Priest especially does have some good ways just to be able to kind of gain some space for your tank and just generally to keep them alive, So going into some of the talents and stuff that you should be looking at, you definitely should be taking Trail of Light. I prefer taking Angelic Feather, of course. From there, you have like your PvP talent. So many times if you're on, say, Necrotic Week, Shining Force can be really, really strong just because you're able to kind of gain some space for your tank. You can knock everybody away, get them slowed, and then your tank will be able to drop his debuff, something like that. We also have our Life Grip, which can be extremely useful just for getting some extra space for your tank. Things like that are really, really nice. But many times when I'm running with my group of friends, my team, you'll find that they really want everything stacked together as best as they possibly can. And usually I'll be using like my Guardian Spirit to compensate. So the nice thing with Guardian Spirit, for example, is if you're putting Guardian Spirit on the tank, you're not able to heal them at all after a Necrotic. They're going ticking down, ticking down, ticking down, ticking down. Well, when they hit 0, the Guardian Spirit heals them up to 40%. Well, that technically is not a heal. It just places their health at a certain percentage. So in many ways, you're getting a huge heal out of the effect just by letting them quote-unquote die and letting the Spirit actually save them. So that's another thing that you can kind of game, you can kind of work off of. That'll help you just kind of get more uptime for your tank on trash and make it a little bit easier for them to handle it. Of course, if you're in Overflow, the name of the game is just not overhealing too much and not causing too much grief that you yourself have to deal with later on. So a lot of that can be tied to just watching your Serenities and making sure that you're very, very vigilant with your Holy Words in general. A lot of times they're the biggest source of pain for you, just building up big overflow stacks. So be very, very mindful of that. Often what I'll try to do is I'll try to make sure that people are all dropping low before I'm using a Sanctify, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm say I'm using as much damage as I possibly can, dishing out as much damage with the Holy Nova, or just using my Chastise and stuff like that, just to make sure that the things are going as fast as possible, but also I'm making use of my downtime. You know that damage is going to be a secondary priority all the time if you're a healer, but in Mythic Plus it's still very, very important. You always want to be keeping everybody alive, but if you're in a situation where you're able to dish out a ton of damage, especially if you're getting into high numbers of trash packs, it's so extremely powerful. So definitely keep that in mind. You'll see in these videos and stuff like that I'm letting my DPS drop pretty low before I start healing them, because a lot of times I'm just getting extra damage out of it. Once I start hitting some of the later packs and some of the more difficult packs, that's when you can start breaking out a lot more heavier heals. So, for example, in Elf's Lair, there's many, many times where a lot of the throwers are going to be out, or even the scorpions later on in the instance, where there's going to be very heavy burst healing that is required. They can really tick down people if you're even on like a teaming week where you're having multiple throwers out in Elf's Lair. It can be such a burden to deal with. So buying yourself time with Censure, being able to use Guardian Spirit very aggressively, either using it the way I demonstrated with Necrotic, or if you're in just a regular week and you don't have to worry about that stuff, often I'll find that if I need to heal, say, 3 or 4 people and they're not all grouped together and Prayer of Healing won't cut it, I'll Guardian Spirit one person, a Guardian Spirit's myself, and then I'll be able to focus the people that don't have Guardian on them. Worst case scenario for the people that do have Guardian Spirit on them, the Guardian Spirit pops, heals them up to 40%, and then I can start focusing them from there. It definitely buys you some time, and it lets you either dish out some more damage or just focus on healing other people that are more close to death. So a lot of that can be splitting your focus and switching gears between healing, between DPS, and using your cooldowns to kind of compensate. Now, I prefer Light of the Naru definitely over Guardian Angel. The reason for this is that getting out a couple extra Holy Words, be it DPS, be it healing, is often way more valuable. And oftentimes I just kind of plan for my Guardian Spirits to proc off of themselves. You know, I very much plan to have, say, my Guardian Spirit proc, and then I'll be able to have that effect heal the tanks. You know, or sometimes I'll be standing in garbage or something like that. So, you know, sometimes I'll be getting the effect, but sometimes I won't. So it's not really a big priority for me. And oftentimes there's not tons and tons of big pulls that you're going to be needing the big cooldown reduction. You definitely can if you like, but I think it's better for your damage, better for your healing if you're able to have Light of the Naru instead of Guardian Angel. From there, I would definitely say that any of the 75s, you could take Surge, you could take Piety, you could take, Binding Heal if you wanted to. None of them are particularly crazily impactful. Having the extra Sanctify can be nice with Piety. Extra Prayer of Mendings are nice and stuff like that, but I don't think any of them are really make or break, so it can be very much preference for you. I would definitely say take Divinity as well. Halo, you have the risk of just pulling extra garbage, and Divine Star is okay, but you know, I mean, we already have Holy Nova for it, so it's not making a big difference. Divinity, giving you a little bit extra healing, and giving you an extra big burst of healing so that you're able to get back to DPSing quicker, you know. Lastly, you always will be taking Apotheosis. Apotheosis is far and away the most mandatory talent for Mythic Plus. It just does so much extra healing, and it can be very easily retooled, switch gears, stuff like that, go right into damage. So you're killing trash packs, and you know, big damage is going out. You top off all the damage when you're using Apotheosis. You still have 15-20 seconds of runoff. Well, then you're able to immediately just start DPSing out of that. You're able to get off, you know, a Chastise every 3 smite casts. You know, it's extremely, extremely valuable to be able to do that. So you have a lot of flexibility with Holy. I think now is probably one of the best weeks to get your Keystone Conqueror. And to do that, optimizing your stats a little bit can be very, very beneficial. So while Mastery is very strong in raids, dropping some Mastery can be very beneficial, again, for healing and for damage double dip. You know, so if you're having more crit, more haste, stuff like that, you're getting your spells off very, very much quicker. And you're not really worrying about any of your mana, for example, if you're having so much haste. You know, having a lot of haste can drain your mana very quickly if you're in a raid environment. But if you're in Mythic Plus, well, you don't really care about your mana, because you can always sit and drink as you need to. You know, you always just buy water from a vendor and you're good to go. So having a lot more crit, a lot more haste can be very beneficial. Mastery still is fine, but it only contributing to your healing. So keep that in mind. If you're able to switch around a couple pieces here and there that are equal item level or something like that, definitely explore doing that. If you want to build like an entire Mythic Plus set, well, then you're probably going to be optimizing a lot more for crit first and then haste after that, you know. So use your best judgment on that. I've had a lot of success just running with my raid gear, but if you really wanted to push higher levels and stuff like that, or you're really struggling to get a little bit more out of it, then maybe optimizing your crit and haste and stuff like that, and dropping a little bit of mastery will help in that aspect. Lastly, I think for trinkets, make sure that you're getting stat trinkets rather than any kind of proc heal effects. So again, focusing more on crit and haste, but definitely wanting to get more int plus crit or int plus haste trinkets. The star map from Star Augur is alright as well, because it can proc very frequently for trash packs, so that's very nice trinket to get. But you don't really want to worry too much about having like a cake trinket, for instance, or it might just be something where you're gonna take cake for like 1 trash pack or 2 trash packs here and there. So you can kind of mix and match your trinkets. But for the most part, if you're only running, you know, if you're not gonna optimize your trinkets, you're not gonna like split them up here and there and try to min-max for that. Just running with something that has pure secondaries or int plus secondaries and stuff like that, that'll be a lot more beneficial to you than any kind of absorption shields or any kind of extra heal procs and stuff like that, you know, especially if we're in a week like Overflow where you don't want to have any of like the proc heals from like Alluriel's Mirror start causing any kind of overflow stuff that you have to deal with later on, you know, so keep that in mind. This is, again, like I said, it's a great week to do it. I hope this stuff kind of helps you out, and I hope this video kind of gives you some more light on what you can be doing to kind of optimize yourself as a Holy Priest going for the Mythic Keystone achievement. I hope this all helps. Let me know if it helps and stuff like that. If you have any suggestions for future videos, definitely leave them in the comments below. Check out our Discord, check out the live stream. All the links are below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.